Today we will be talking about the music from the American Southwest, specifically with the Navajo Native Americans. Okay, so as we get started today, I think it's important to go over the history a little bit of the Navajo people so that we understand, a little bit more about where they come from so that we're able to understand more about their art and their music because their music is very expressive about who they are. It tells a story of their creation, it tells a story about the world that they live in around them, and tells a lot about who they are, what they're doing here, and where they're going. And so I think in order to understand that better, it's important to understand the history of the Navajo people. So historians tell us that the Navajo people arrived in the southwestern United States, specifically around the Four Corners area of the United States. That's around southeastern Utah, southwestern Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona. After they migrated from Russia to Alaska through what's known as the Bering Strait or the land bridge. However, the Navajo people tell their own creation story of how they arrived here on the North American continent that greatly differs from that theory. They tell of traveling through a number of different colored worlds before arriving here on Earth into that very specific area of the Four Corners area of the United States, and it's known as the Dine. The Navajo, like most Native American tribes here in the U.S., had a difficult relationship with the United States of America as well as with Mexico, as the U.S. did try to remove them from their lands, which they successfully did, and Mexico also was trying to come up against them, so the Navajo did their best to fight back against them, and they would rob and steal, and they were actually very good at stealing the sheep of the Mexican farmers around them. One particularly harsh memory for the Navajo is the Scorched Earth Campaign, which occurred in 1863 when captive Navajo Native Americans were forced to walk over 350 miles to New Mexico, a fort there, and many Native Americans died. And in 1868, the first Navajo reservation was created, and I think that's very important to understand because that's when you have a large gathering of the same groups of people. And the reservations were a very sad time in these people's lives. And I think it's really reflected in the types of music that were created as well. Now as we take a look at the music of the Navajo Native Americans, we are able to see that the majority of the instruments that they use are idiophones and aerophones, especially in the old days, more ancient times. Examples of the idiophones were footed drums, shaken idiophones, and vessel rattles. Now let's take a look at this clip of a man playing a drum that he's able to hold. He's in a place that is sacred to the Navajo Native Americans, and he's playing a drum that he's able to hold, which is one that is another example of an instrument that is typical for the Native Americans. He's playing this in Monument Valley, Arizona. So now let's go ahead and take a look at this clip and just notice some of the things that we'll see to be themes throughout learning about Navajo Native American music. we look at that clip, we're able to really see some of the themes that we're going to be able to talk about a little bit later on when we're talking about um, the, the major themes that come across in the Native American Navajo music. But as we continue to talk about the instruments that really are used in the Navajo music, we continue on to the aerophones, which are shell trumpets, flutes, whistles, and the really amazing thing is they have the beginning of the reed instruments. Now, reed instruments are instruments like a clarinet or an oboe, things which require a reed in order to create sound. And they were able to come up with those instruments, well, the precursors to those instruments, thousands of years before they had been invented. And as we look at this next clip, which involves a man playing a type of Navajo flute in Lower Antelope Canyon in Arizona, which is another sacred Navajo area. Um, this is a double-ended flute. Take a look and just see at the type of ingenuity that the Navajos had when it came to creating their instruments. So as we've been able to listen to some examples now, I think that you've been able to catch on that Navajo music is usually very simple in its nature. It uses unblended singing and it's very monophonic, or having only one melody. not having harmonies or anything like that, but if multiple people are singing, they're all singing the melody. There's no different tones or anything like that. They're all singing in unison. The vocals that are sung usually are very tense, using pulses and falsetto to give it a different dimension almost in the songs. And the songs contain simple rhythms and patterns that are very easy to clap along to and also very easy to learn. I think this is very important because the Navajos, as well as a lot of other Native American cultures, would use their songs to pass down legends, stories, and also important information about their tribe, their culture, and their ancestors. And so, as they would use their songs, um, it was important for them to be able to learn and to be able to have something to connect with and to be able to pass down for the future generations. The Navajos are known to have some of the simplest music. It's a little more complex than the Indians of the plains, like the Sioux Indians, but their music is a little more complex than them, but it's one of the more simpler music. Now, as we go on to our last clip, this is a dance song actually, and as we listen to this, just take a look to see if you see any of those themes that we talked about, mainly the easy pattern, the one melody, and just see if you can hear those things that we talked about and see if you see the easy rhythms as well.
Oi yang hey yang ya oh hey yang hey yang ya oh hey yang hey yang ya oh hey hey yang hey yang ya oh hey hey yang hey yang ya oh hey hey yang ya oh hey hey yang ya oh hey hey yang hey yang ya oh hey hey yang hey yang shene atet hey hey yang shene atet hey hey yang ya ho hey yang hey yang ya ho hey yang hey yang shene atet hey hey yang shene atet hey hey yang ya ho hey yang oi yang hey yang oh ne te da shla we yang hey yang oh ne te da shla we yang hey yang oh hey oh ne te da shla we yang hey yang oh hey oh ne te da shla we yang hey yang oh ne te da shla we yang hey yang oh ne te da shla we yang hey yang oh hey oh honey te da shela we ya he ya ya oh hey hey oh honey te da shela we ya he ya
So that concludes our short little lesson on Navajo music. I hope you learned at least a little bit today about what Navajo Native American music entails, including idiophones, aerophones, tense vocals with pulses and falsettos, um, monophony, easy rhythms, and very simple music all over, but that carries a deep message with that's from a very deep people that have a very rich culture that's a very big part of the United States of America. Hope you enjoyed this presentation, and thanks for joining us.